They've been saying China's over for 10 years, since before we got here. Well, they're still working on it. In the dark ages, 10 years ago, before every foreigner in China had a vlog on YouTube, we got all of our information from like message boards and good old-fashioned blogs. And they were saying the big cities, there were no jobs, and that was don't come, there's no jobs, it's too competitive. Also, they were saying it's over, you can't show up drunk to work anymore, they actually expect you to be good at teaching. Now, you may have heard recently that the party is over in China. Teachers get out, which is like kind of true and kind of not true. This is my vlog, not a news source, so I'm gonna give you how this affects me. You can't make $1 bazillion a month teaching 100 hours a week anymore, because public schools are notorious. This one, when I was interviewing, they were like, the pay is this, and the pay will always be this. Every year you can get a 200 kwai per month raise. This is not a negotiation. We're a public school. This is the money we have. Training schools are no longer the gold mine that they once were. And a training school, for those of you unfamiliar, is basically like an after-school tutoring center for insane people who want to work insane hours and make a lot of money, and insane parents that want their kids to study all the time. Chongqing is a furnace, an actual furnace. So forgive me if I get a little rambly, because somewhere in there I meant to say the gold rush in terms of like work a job and make $1 million is over. But if your goal is like time to pursue another project, that's still very possible. I do not look fondly back on my time working in a training school. I much prefer public school. The salary is much lower, but I don't care. School doesn't start for another couple of days, so that's why the campus is a little bit dead, although there's more people here than I expected when we got here. It's also all under construction because they, within the last year or so, I think, got a new university president, and he wanted to make his mark on the campus. I'm paraphrasing. I don't think they use those words exactly. It's not this guy. I don't know who this guy is. But, so we live in a construction site because a man wants to build some stuff, which I feel like is pretty universal. So the term at college starts officially Friday, or started on September 3rd, depending on when you're watching this. But my classes don't actually start till the 13th, and I'll go for 22 weeks, and I have 1 week off at National Day, October 1st to October 7th, which is the first time in any job in China that anyone's ever been able to give me this term-long information and schedule. Like, I even have my whole class schedule is ready, and I know it, which is so exciting. I love working with big kids. I will say, in my experience at training schools, they threw a lot of money at me. It was very inconvenient, but every inconvenience was accompanied by like a fat pink wad of cash. Whereas public schools can't do that. They just don't have the money to, but I feel like they really do take care of me in every way they can that's not money, this school included. Even my friends who've come over here expressly to work 1 million hours to make $1 million at training schools, they still hate it. It's a hard job. All this talk of school puts me in mind of a stationary conundrum I've had ever since I moved to China. Why don't you have any 3-ring binders? I've seen those books with clear pockets. I've seen those books with like snappies, but no 3 hole punch binders. How do you store your papers? Do you not take notes on paper anymore? What? How? It's tough because the way it happened, this edict came down and basically overnight businesses closed and people lost their jobs, and I can't imagine that's fun. That really, really sucks. And it is, Peter and I do every 6 months talk about a bug out plan should things go really badly for us here. But also this was our bug out plan for America, was to move to China. I nearly sliced my finger off today putting together a cheap Chinese clothing rack I bought at the mall. But is that China's fault? I knew what I was getting into. I mean, I can see the arms race aspect of it. Is if this kid's taking math lessons after school, then my kid's got to take math lessons and tennis lessons to make them stick out, and blah, 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 getting into college, blah, 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 getting a good job. And statistically, better education and prestige schools do equate to higher income levels later in life. That's true, I think, in China and the US. 10 years ago, at my public school, that meant getting me side jobs at other schools with my boss's friends, which I think is totally illegal. It was totally illegal at the time, but it was cool, and now that's not cool. And in fact, at my interview for this school, they were very clear. You cannot work. We can give you more courses at this school. If you need to make more money, we can find more work for you. But you cannot work outside the school. It's illegal, and we can't really help you if you get in trouble doing that. So with that being said, I think there's actually still a deficit of foreign teachers for the positions available, because no one new is allowed to come into China because of COVID. Like, my school is still looking for a teacher.
Recent changes in China mean that it's all over. China's over. Get out.
But the high-paying jobs may be at least altered, if not gone. Like, our original middle school job that we taught at a public school, we got from a friend of a friend who was a screenwriter, and he moved to China to write a screenplay, which is what we also did. So it's still a good life depending on what you're looking for. But as a holistic consideration of the person, I can tell you, as a former gifted kid, being good at school just means you're good at school. It doesn't like make you a better person or make you even better at living life. The competition in the eastern cities is why we came out to the middle of the country to Luzhou, because they were dying to hire us. And actually, even like 6 years ago, I applied to a job in Chengdu, and it was super competitive. They wanted me to fly out on my own expense to do a demo class, and I was like, you know what? There's other jobs I can get in other cities where they don't need that requirement. You have to be a legitimate teacher now, and the regulations are changing. So I understand why different groups of people for always are declaring the party over. But I'm still having a good time.